What is up, Yesh Gamers? Robert the Bruce here, and today it's all about hitting the ground running with Battlefield 1. Now, talking about various things that might be a snag to players until they figure it out. We're going to look at a few things ranging from creative ways to adapt classes to different situations, as well as just some general gotchas that you got to watch out for with certain weapons. So, grab a plate of nachos and let's do this thing. First up, the Tripwire. That's the Claymore of the old days, and if you're planning to set up with an LMG on a rooftop and not move the entire round, well, there's something you should know before you drop one of these down behind you and consider yourself to be safe. Just one of these bad boys will very often not kill the enemy. Oh, it'll wound them for sure, but over and over again, I see players run through these things and survive. I'm sure in hardcore they do the trick just fine, but the workaround is this. Drop an ammo pack, you'll quickly resupply a second tripwire, and you can just place it next to the first one. Yeah, it takes a little more time to set up, but the increased explosive power is well worth it. I don't camp in one spot for long, so I actually prefer the incendiary version of the tripwire, and I don't even mess with this. Trust me, the incendiary version will heat things up. Oh, that was awful. I apologize right away. Let's move on. So, the AT rocket launcher. It does some work on vehicles, and, well, AT stands for anti-tank, so it's not a huge surprise. But let's not have our society impose regulations on what they think the AT rocket launcher can do, am I right? We don't want to assume its capabilities or stereotype it like all the other anti-tank weapons. You know what? The AT rocket launcher's mom said it could be anything it wanted when it grew up, and she was right. So if you have a pesky sniper super far away and your primary weapon obviously can't do anything at that range, except to give away your position, bust out the old AT rocket launcher and let one of these bad boys sail on over to that sniper. And don't stop there either. Got a guy peeking out from a window causing your team grief because he's got some good cover? Well, just let the rocket launcher blast out the whole wall, and we'll see how clever that enemy feels when his cover is gone. Now let's talk about an enemy in Battlefield that you cannot conquer. It can and will kill you, and there is nothing you can do to hurt it back. And I'm talking about No Man's Land. It's that area in Rush where, after you blow up the objectives, the enemy falls back. But, as the attackers, you have to wait 30 seconds until the map opens up, letting you advance. Now don't get me wrong, there isn't some fancy way to be invincible in No Man's Land past the 10-second timer. If you charge in and the countdown hits 0, well, you just became a real nice looking corpse. But, even though we can't conquer No Man's Land, we can manipulate it. So let's think about it. If you're in No Man's Land for less than 10 seconds, well, you stay alive, right? Well, No Man's Land is there blocking you from advancing for 30 seconds. So, all we need to do is a little basic counting of our own. As soon as the last objective blows up, start counting the seconds off in your head. Once you hit 22 seconds or so, take off running or driving into No Man's Land. Now the death timer is going to kick up, but it will only get down to having a couple seconds left. It'll be a little intense wondering if you counted too fast or not, but if you do it right, a couple seconds before the death timer kills you, No Man's Land will hit its 30-second limit and disappear. And then suddenly you are way into enemy territory, almost already the next objective, and the enemy has no idea you're already that far. Now, if you can snag a horse or a vehicle and pull this off, it is just hilarious to think about the enemy reactions when No Man's Land disappears and immediately the next objective is armed. You can actually beat them to get there. It's fantastic. Keep in mind, though, it can be easy to count too fast and get a little excited and take off running into No Man's Land and then die because you were 1 or 2 seconds too fast. Starting out, it may be easier to count up to like 25 seconds before you charge in. You won't get as much of a head start, but you'll be more likely to stay alive while you get the timing down perfect. Also, it really helps if you yell, "I regret nothing!" while you charge through No Man's Land. So, that wraps it up for a few little gotchas and tips to be aware of as you kick off your career in Battlefield 1. Soon you'll be dancing your way through No Man's Land and sniping enemies with the rocket launcher. And you know what? I like to think your life will be a little bit more fulfilling. So hit me up with your thoughts below. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the battlefield.